Live. I think we are live. Yes. I hope the sound is good. I hope you can hear me. Let me just check if everything is working as it's supposed to. Yes, we are live now. Hi guys, good evening. How are you guys doing? I hope you're doing fine. My name is Momchil, and I'll wait for another half a minute or so everybody can jump in. Um, all right. Um, at the same time, I'll be reading the comments, so feel free to let me know if it's something it's not working properly, or if you have any comments or any questions are welcomed. I'll take the time and answer them at the end. Yes, so here we are. Okay, I will start now, and whoever joins will have the chance to look at at the recording afterwards. So as I said, name is Momo. Thank you so much to everyone for joining in. Recently, you may have noticed I took part in the Ironman World Championship in Kona, Hawaii. It was a once in a lifetime experience. I've experienced a lot, seen a lot, and learned a lot of things. So the point of this live is to go through to some points, to show you some pictures, to just summarize what went well, and for everyone who is probably one day wishing to go to Hawaii, to give him or her my knowledge and what I've learned. So yeah, that's about it. So I have a small presentation here. Just let me put it on. Here we go. All right. So as I said, 3 weeks now. 8th of October was the date of the Ironman in Kona. I'll have 5 points for tonight's live. It will be organization, preparation, the swim, bike, and the run. So yeah, let's start. Oops, I have for some reason, just one moment, I have the wrong slides. Not a big issue though. All right. I have the slides from yesterday. We have a nice one. Yes. All right. Sorry for this one. All right. So first point is organization. Hawaii and Kona in particular is a very different climate. It was hot and humid, very different from what I've experienced here in Europe. So it was the acclimatization time was important. I knew that from the beginning. It's 13,000 kilometers from where I started. It's another 12 time zones away. So at the beginning, I didn't thought much about the jet lag, but it's a real issue. So take the proper time to adapt to the new time zone. And at the beginning, it will be hard because you think it's day and then you have to sleep, or the other way around. For different reasons, I had an Ironman in Italy, in Serbia, 3 weeks prior to the Ironman World Championship. This happened because in 2020 I had a couple races, Ironmans booked, but because of the whole world situation, they canceled them, and they have the voucher to book another race. And because of some complications, the only reasonable option for me was to go to Italy, although it was 3 weeks prior to World Championship. So this wasn't optional by any means. And if you can avoid it, if I can avoid it in the future races, I would definitely do that. There was, although on race day I wasn't feeling any muscle pain or whatsoever at the beginning. This definitely played a role as there is some deep tissue fatigue stored in the muscles after a 10-hour race, basically. So yeah, keep that in mind if you have the option to plan your season. I know the Ironman championship is yeah, it takes a long time. You have to qualify, then you have to take part in the race itself. So yeah, this takes some adjustment. You cannot plan the season accordingly, but just be mindful of that. The other thing is the accommodation that we have. The Airbnb was some 80 kilometers away, which was hour and 15, 20 minutes drive. This wasn't optional. This wasn't optimal because the whole thing with the racing scene, the check-in, all the merchandise, all the scenery was in Kona, and I was some 80 kilometers away, which was for every training session I had to drive here and there, and wasn't optional. So um, what I've learned is a better option, and what I've seen the pros do. The Daniela Reef, for example, she did acclimatization at Maui, which is a neighborhood island to Kona, have very similar climate, and you can basically do your training without all the hustle and bustle of the Kona racing week. Another option would be to meet a place with other athletes and just share a house, which is in the neighborhood of the starting line, and just have your supporters arrive 2 or 3 days prior. Another fact that I think there was a positive decision on my side was to, although last minute, but I changed the suitcase for my bike from a soft to a hard shell. The reason is I had 4 flights flying there and 4 flights flying back, so I can only imagine how many times my bike was just thrown around. Although I had some cushioning inside. You never know. You want to be better safe than sorry. The last thing you want to find is your steering wheel, your bike steering in 2 parts. So yeah, that's what I would advise anyone who wants to travel, especially on a long distance race like that. Just make sure to go the extra mile. You can use a hard shell buy case, take a used one, or just rent for someone or whatever the case might be. Yeah, another thing that I saw was, of course, the more time you spend in the climate, the better. But for me, the least time amount of time you would want to spend there are 2 weeks. I bet there are some crazy dudes out there just arriving the day prior to Kona with zero acclimatization and just jet lag over the board. But oh well, you want to make it as easy on yourself as possible. So make sure to spend some time, at least 2 weeks in there, just to get used to the time zone and the climate. If you're on a budget, the way we did it, we visited a friends of ours in Los Angeles 2 weeks prior to the event for a couple of days, and then we flew to Kona. So because it's race week, because there are 5,000 athletes alone, some more supporters, the prices go up inevitably. So if you're on a budget, you wanna save some money. The climate on the west coast of USA is pretty similar, so you can spend some time there. San Diego, Los Angeles would be good places to start. Another thing that was just really amazing, the power of technology basically was um, a Bulgarian lady, just contacted me a day before the start, and she said, "Oh well, I'm gonna cheer for you. I saw you racing and whatever." We didn't know each other at this point, so she said, "Good luck on race day and so on." and she happened to be living like 15-20 minutes walking distance from the starting line. And one so I asked her if it would be possible to sleep at her house, just because in race morning you want to avoid any additional stress. You could just make it easy on yourself, and I would highly advise you to just rent an apartment or hotel room just the night before the race, because you want to be as close to the starting line as possible. Because if I would have stayed in our accommodation place, the Airbnb, I would have had to start to go out at 3 in the morning, which is not the optional one. So if you have the chance, do yourself a favor and just rent a hotel room or an apartment just outside the start, so you can have it easy. It could be just for the race night, just before the race, but it will make a huge difference on race morning, believe me. All right, this is just how far it is from the place I'm currently living. It's just the other side of the globe. It's really, really far away. Anyway, second point I wanna discuss is the preparation point. You want to make sure you start a packing list, what you want to take with you as early as possible, just to make to write down everything that I have. If someone wants my packing list, I would gladly share it. Just shoot me a DM and I'll send you a link. Um, the way I did it is I made a just really basic Google spreadsheet, and I wrote down everything that I need for the swim, everything I needed for the bike, for the run, nutrition, etc. And just started as soon as possible, or as early as possible. I started my 1 month before I started packing for the flight. This made it really easy, because I basically have already thought about everything that I would need on race day and the training prior to race day, which is also important, because sometimes you just have. I had two pairs of running sneakers, one for training, one for racing. You want to also have enough nutrition with you, because if you are participating in a race just outside your country or whatever the case might be, you probably go there on Wednesday or Thursday if the race is on weekend, and you're doing fine, considering race nutrition. But if you're going 2 weeks prior to the race, you want to have enough nutrition to cover your race, to cover your training, and to have some additional as well, just in case. Because traveling to the other end of the world, you don't really know what you will be able to find in the store. If you'll be able to find the exact nutrition that you are accustomed to it, that you have trained with, you don't know that. You probably can or may not. So you want to take as much as you would probably need, and then some extra, just in case. Another thing that I would take is spare equipment. Obviously, you can't uh, trans- transport 2 or 3 bikes, but you could have a spare goggles, you could have a spare sun hat, you could have a spare tires or tubes. Just make sure to take some extras with you, just in case something happened and you don't want to be left out there just thinking, oh, what am I going to do now? Um, the athlete guide and the race briefing are really important. I made sure to read them multiple times, just because the last thing that you want to experience is get qualified for the world championship, get there, spend the money to get there, and on race day get disqualified just because you didn't read the athlete um, guide, or you didn't listen to the race briefing. What was allowed, what wasn't allowed, what is okay to do, what are you not permitted to do. These are some really important stuff, and you can think of. So the Ironman this is a race where there are like 5,000 participants, and there obviously need to be some rules in place. Because of that, um, you need to follow the rules. They're not okay with bending the rules. So, and this makes sense, of course, but you need to know the rules, what is okay and what is not okay to do. And I made sure to just have the athlete guide. I read it 2 or 3 times just to be sure that I know everything that it's allowed and everything that is not allowed, and I am compliant with the rules. Um, as I said, transport your bike in a hard case and just pay attention to the detail. That's all it matters, because on race day there will be a lot of adrenaline running, and you want to have everything as smooth as possible. The lesson I learned is, although it wasn't my fault per se, but the fact that I qualified in 2021 in August, and I had to go through another season of training before I went to the World Championship, made it somewhat difficult to. At some point, I was just exhausted from training, but I had to keep pushing just to stay on top of my game, and this could be really frustrating. So another thing that I learned is, don't plan a big race 1 or 2 months before your really big race for the season. That makes sense, but as I said, for reasons, I didn't have to, but I chose, so to speak, to take part in the Ironman 3 weeks prior. Exactly. And if you can, just go out there and, oops, sorry for that. Just go out there and see the transition areas. How are they organized? Or in the case of the World Championship, there are many years of footage on YouTube. Just see how the pros are coming out. Where are the bikes? Where are the bags? Just where do I come out? How do I and so on and so forth. You want to be as prepared as possible before race day. Oh, so let's go to the swim. On race morning, I had my usual oats. I think three hours prior to the swim, somewhere at like 3:30, I woke up and had my oats. The swim itself went smoothly. It was so on other Ironmans, it's a rolling start, which means that every 5 or 7 seconds there are 5 athletes going in the water, and this makes it more. This is way easier for the athletes because we're sorted on according to race time, on swim time, and not according to our age. But in this case, I guess there are some reasoning for that. But in this case, there was some. Just sort of my monitor is spinning. Um, on the in Kona, we weren't starting according to approximate swim time. We were starting by age groups and by mass start, which means 350 other people in my age group who went together in the water, aligned on a visual line in the water, and we started together. This makes it pretty intense, especially the first 10 to 15 minutes, because you're swimming everywhere and you can't find your pace. The lesson that I learned there is it makes it really easy for me just to swim 3 4 meters to the left of the main group. I just find it easier to find my pace and just keep rolling. Every breath that I take, I just take a look if the guys are still there, and just swim my own pace and don't get distracted as much. Um, Kona wasn't a wetsuit legal swim any year, so it was only swim skins were allowed. Swim skin is just a thin piece of cloth that you put over your Triathlon suit just makes you a little bit more, not buoyant, but just makes you a little bit less water resistant. Gives you a little advantage. So I don't know if this made a big difference, but I had one there, so I use it. Just make sure if you're having one, test it beforehand. Volunteers are plenty on site. They help you a lot, but just know where everything is and don't rely too much on them. They are really helpful. They help you a lot. And other Ironmans that I've done, you take your race or a transition bag from the rack. You go to the transition tent, take everything out that you need for the bike or for the run, put everything in that's coming from the swim or whatever, and just take your bag and rack it yourself back on the rack. In Kona, the volunteers, in some cases they gave you a bag, but if not, they were in the tent. So after you changed, you put your stuff in the bag and went out, and they were responsible for taking your bag and bringing it back to the rack. In the transition bag, I had a towel and just my cycling socks because in the race briefing they said exclusively that helmet, shoes, and nutrition needs to be on the bike. So everything that I needed on the bike was already there. I just put my socks on and went out. No access to the changing bags on race morning, only access to your bike. So that was also exclusively set in the athlete guide. So just make sure to read the athlete guide and to prepare your bags accordingly. The thing that I'll show you a graph next. The thing is that the sun, we are starting the swim at sunrise, which means that for half of the swim, the sun is at my back, but for the other half is at my front. So this is how oh no, this is how the water entrance and exit looks like, and together with all the transition area. On the left, all you can see are the bikes racked. You can imagine there are like 3,000 bikes, a lot of stuff. So on your right, you can see a staircase leading into the water, and there is a man swimming in the water. There we go. As I said, 350 of my age groupers are going in, and at the shotgun we start together and each needs to find their pace. We go. Oh, this is Momo excited before the swim. This is around 6:40, I guess. Yeah, really exciting times. Other swimmers, and on the far back there are the spectators watching. So this is the swim course. At the top there is the start and the finish. You go down. Just let me go bigger on that. Transition. There we go. You go down to the boat. That's 1.9 kilometers swimming. That's where so the sun is rising on the right. So if you are breathing on the right, you will have the sun in your eyes, which is somewhat uncomfortable. But the other half of the swim was so we're swimming forward and back, and this made it. The other half of the swim was okay. So next, you come out between the line in the water and the shore, back to the staircase. You make it out on the staircase. You make a U-turn. The white tent are some fresh water you can wash yourself out with. You take your under the green tents are the transition bags, those blue bags. You take your bike bag, what you need for the bike. You take it off the rack, you run with the bag in the transition tent, you sit down, strip your wetsuit, if you your swim skin, sorry, if you're wearing one, your hat, your goggles, put them in the bag, just put your socks on and off you go. On the bike, later on I'll show you the video how this looks in action. On the bike, there are some elevation, but the terrain is just really unspectacular. It's just frozen lava all around. It's just a lava island, obviously, but it makes it's kind of boring from just a mental standpoint. It's really exhausting because you see almost no spectators, no one's cheering. You're just out there just pushing against Mother Nature. That's all there is to it. So every now and then you're all alone, so no other athletes around, and that makes it kind of frustrating. All the time it's humid, sunny, no shadows whatsoever on the bike. I had my strategy with two bottles full of my nutrition for the 5.5 hours of biking. One bottle full of water, and the rest of my water needs I had to fill in from the aid stations. They were really well organized. Volunteers were prepared. Most of them knew what they had to do, so almost no newbies there. They were really cooperative, and the thing that Ironman did this year was they decided against sports bottle like this, and they went on with some supermarket cheap bottles. They had the thing on top that you can easily drink from, but in some cases, the volunteers, I guess, they were overwhelmed and they couldn't just keep up with the opening to open the water so you can drink straight from the bottle, and you had to basically do it yourself while riding single-handed on the bike, which was kind of dangerous, but well, that's what it was. Um, Times there were some cool bottles, but I guess when there were groups of athletes at one time and you came just after them, you had bad luck and there were none of cool bottles. But every now and then you could grab some cool bottle. At every aid station, I made sure to grab a new bottle to drink and to keep myself wet, just because I wanted to stay on top my cooling process as long as possible, and that was the only option to go. At the end, the pros get their bikes racked, but the age groupers had to hang their own bikes. So there's a on the end of the at the end of the bike course, there's a line clearly marked on the ground, which you're not allowed to cross on your bike. So you had to get off your bike before the line, and you have to push your bike in the transition zone. You walk with your bike or you run with your bike, whatever you decide, to your spot. You put your bike in, you hang your bike in, and you're free to go. That's what how it was organized. There were some races where there were enough volunteers to hang your bike, so you basically just get off your bike before the line, and at the line there are volunteers. You just give them the bike, and that's it. But this time you have to push it yourself. But it's equal for everyone, so no advantage there gained or lost. All right. Now let's go. Mm, There we go. This is at the beginning. As you can see, the guy just in front of me is just getting on his bike. So this is around, I think it's around 8:10, 8:20 something in the morning. So the sun is rising surely. So this is Momo at the first 500 meters of the bike, just getting on. And this is what I'm talking about. This is how most of the bike course looks like. It's really empty, just hot and humid, other athletes, and that's it. The good news is the road is really flat. So I mean, really good. The asphalt is the pavement is good, but there is nothing that is exciting about the road. The only sign that you're making progress if you're looking at your bike computer. Other than that, you can't really make any difference if you're at kilometer 30 or kilometer 150. This is how the course looks like. Some elevation, 1700 meters, which is similar to what was in Frankfurt last year, but it was, as I said, because of the weather conditions, a lot of wind as well. Because of the weather conditions, it was, yeah, a lot harder. So you go out of the swim, you take a right turn, you make 10 kilometers to the south, then you make another U-turn, and then you go all the way up to the uppermost side of the picture, which says Havi. That's the turning point. I'll show you later how it looks like. It's just nothing spectacular. It's just plain and simple. You make a U-turn around a car, and you're riding all the way back. That's how it looks like. Every now and then there is some vegetation over there, but just nothing more. At the far back, you see some frozen lava, and at the very far, that's the Pacific Ocean. A lot of wind, as you can see, and that's it. Nothing more, nothing less. There are some, of course, there are some groups of athletes that are riding together, but it's draft illegal race. So this means you're not allowed to be too close to your to the man in front. So you have to keep a distance, a specific distance. And as you can see, everyone is riding in a line and they're having some distance in between. And the guys on the motorcycles are the judges who just drive along, making sure everyone is spaced enough to keep the rules. So coming off the bike after 180 kilometers, it's time to run. The run was I was running around 1 p.m. 1:30, I think. In the T2 bag, so the transition 2 bag, the running bag, I had my race number, really important. I had my running shoes, my running socks, I had the sunglasses, and a hat, and I had my running belt. This was important because, as I said, on race morning, we didn't have the option to access our transition bag, so it was mandatory to put all the stuff that you need the day prior. Coming out the running, so after transition, you come out, and the first 10K are along the famous Ali Drive, which is just in the middle of the small town Kona. So you're running 5 kilometers in, you're running 5 kilometers back. There are a lot of spectators. The energy is high. You're just coming off the bike, so it's. I was able to hold good pace in there. Um, it was pretty flat, but once you're done, you're running the 5 kilometers back to the where the transition area is. You make a turn and you're back on the Queen K, which was the part where the bike took place, and you're just sharing the lane with the bikes, but the same monotonous and not spectacular at all scenery where you're just running and there's nothing more than frozen lava and sun, and that's it, and some wind as well. The thing that was good was we had in the transition area there was some pieces of towels with some ice on them, so we were given them. we got those in the transition and we were able to put them on. So the thing you see um, on my neck on the pictures that are coming now, that's a piece of towel that just around my neck. Every time I was passing through an aid station, I made sure to grab some water, grab some ice, just cool myself down, because running in the middle of the day is not easy by any means, and cooling was my number one priority. Ice was available at every aid station, so I made sure just to rub my arms and legs to keep my extremities as cool as possible. But a tip from me, don't put ice on your belly while running. This might cause you some problems, and it's not a really good feeling. So that was about it for the run. I'll zoom in the pictures again. That's Momo coming out just out of the transition area, looking fresh now. As you probably can see around my neck, there is the towel, as I said earlier. There it is again. This is just outside the transition area. So I'm fresh off the start, the first 500 meters. What you see on my waist is my nutrition bottle. I had my carbs in there in liquid form, which I should have been able to drink, but for some reason I was just unable to digest anything. So they were traveling the whole way with me. Anyway, that's how the running course looks like. Some elevation as well, but you basically go out the transition, make a right turn, sorry, go 5 kilometers to the south, which is down on this picture, make a U-turn and go back to the where you started. And that's the Ali Drive. That's where all the spectators are. There's a lot of energy there, so your running is pretty smooth. That's you're feeling good. But afterwards, you go north or to the upper part of this picture, and that's the Queen K Highway, which is really lonely. So this is the picture of me running on the Ali Drive. You can see the spectators around. There's another runner going, and that's where the lonely highway is. All that you see behind me are the other athletes, and that's the famous finish line, the arc with Mike Riley, his last season out there. Congratulating you as you're an Ironman. Great feeling. I can't find words to describe it. That's me crossing the finish line. You can see it in my eyes. I'm pretty happy with the result after almost 11 hours. It was a hard race, one of the hardest full distance triathlon that I've done by far. That's me after the race with the medal, totally exhausted, just couldn't quite stand for this picture. But anyway, thank you to all my this is time to thank all my supporters, support crew, all my sponsors that I made this possible. And yeah, any questions up to this point? I see no questions. Eiling says, huge congratulations. Thank you, Eiling. That's so kind. Let me get you, okay. Let me show you the transition. There is the video of from different points. Just comments on there. This is the reality of Ironman World Championship. Looking past in there, the longest we've seen, the stars and stripes in each. All the red snaps, other age groupers. Swimming time was 1 hour 6 minutes. Not my best, but oh well. I don't quite know why it happened, but it's just how it was. I guess it was because of the crowd, or maybe I was feeling okay in the water, so I don't quite know why it's slow, so to speak. But I was able to last time in Italy I was just under 1 hour. So, but anyway, coming out the the yellow shirt. Running out the word, kind of bike back, transition to the bike. And then there's
Jerry Scriba, Michael Finney from Pennsylvania.
on your bike back.
Robert Goley, way to go, Robert.
So you have to push your bike, as the volunteer say, keep pushing.
Jerry Scriba, Michael Finney from Pennsylvania.
Bike, shoes and boots in.
Robert Goley, way to go, Robert. Michael Edmund.
Exactly, yeah. So that's the beginning. There we are. Right. 5 hours journey on the bike. It was, as I said, it was a really bike. I felt good throughout, but a lot of wind, so I couldn't keep a good pace. That's how the Queen K looks like. That's as lonely as it gets. And other athletes out there, and that's just it. You see there are some groups in there, but other than that, we're just all around some vegetation at the far end. There's the ocean, but nothing more than that. That's the happy building part. The white vehicle is what we're turning around. My crew is up there supporting me, cheering me up. I didn't expect that because, as you think, it's just 90 kilometers past my dad running in his 2-year-old shirt. This is 90 kilometers away, and the highway is blocked for the bikers, which meant as you can see, that's me. The highway is blocked for the athletes, and they had to take the car and drive crazy kilometers just to get to the turning point. Heavy, crazy thankful to them. Just at the right point. Excellent execution. That's me. As you can see, the yellow lines on the pavement are the dismount line, which means you have to be off your bike before the lines, otherwise you risking disqualification. And the yellow shirt guy that's standing there makes sure that everyone is off their bike, just playing fair. This is for safety reasons, just because in the transition area you're not allowed to bike, just not to hit anyone. So I'm off my bike, just running, pushing my bike, just hanging in there. All the other guys are running. 1:35 is the time of the day. 1 p.m. That's
25, 21, 17, 23, 15, 75, 10, 86, 50.
All the guys running around. I was fresh off the bike. Pretty well. The first 10K.
USA, Jared Wilson. You're an Ironman, Jared. From Australia, Lachlan Finch. You're an Ironman, Lachlan. From Great Britain, Oliver. Monster Stevens, you are an Ironman.
Everything.
You're an Ironman, Jared. From Australia, Lachlan Finch. You're an Ironman, Lachlan. From Great Britain, Oliver, Monster Stevens, you are an Ironman. From Florida, Michael Bama. You're an Ironman, Lachlan. From Great Britain, Oliver,
countless hours of training.
From Great Britain, Oliver. Moses Stevens, you are an Ironman. From Florida,
Yeah, that's
Michael Bella. All right, Michael, you're an Ironman. Mama Jill Dimitrov, you're an Ironman from Bulgaria. Matthew Gray, you're an Ironman, Lachlan. Great Britain, Oliver. Moses Stevens, you are an Ironman. From Florida, Michael Bella. All right, Michael, you're an Ironman. Mama Jill Dimitrov, you're an Ironman. You're an Ironman, Lachlan. Great Britain, Oliver, Moses Stevens, you are an Ironman. From Florida, Michael Balla. All right, Michael, you're an Ironman. Mama Jill Dimitrov, you're an Ironman from Bulgaria.
Regardless of the time, it doesn't really matter. It's just, yeah. Participation is what matters. So, yeah. That's it. I would gladly answer any questions if there are any. Can't quite hear you while the video's on. Oh, okay. Sorry for that. All right. Anyway, enjoy the video. Sorry for that. It's just my first time of streaming like that. So for the next World Championship, I'll make it better. But yeah, I can't see any questions in the comments. All right. If not the case, thank you so much for everyone who joined in. I'll upload the video on YouTube, link it to my page. So if you get to watch the video later and you want to get any further details, you want to get any further knowledge, how I did this, why that, whatever, just shoot me a message, contact me on my email, whatever the case might be. Feel free. I'll be more than glad to help you. So as I said, thank you so much to everyone who joined in. It really means a lot, and stay safe, guys. Thank you.